Okay, the fuel tank right here comes in a bag. That it also comes with this bag with 600 NB2A. Has all of the gas stuff. You got the fuel filter, the clunk, the stoppers, everything you need. It's also got these little liners, so you can put the fuel tank in there. I guess these tubes that come with them, you know, they're alright. They're pretty cheap. Most people say just to throw them out. Get some other better high quality tube other than the stuff that comes with it. Right now I'm going to just put it in as it is, how it says on the manual, but later I'm going to end up putting in a header tank in there. Just the clunk, you know, I don't think will be enough to run the fuel out, so I want to run the fuel dry here and not have to worry about any bogs. So I've got a header tank on its way in, but right now I'll just put it in the way it says in the manual. Make sure you follow what it says here. The little protrusion is going to face up when you put it in here in the side. Get this stuff out of the way. So you're going to stick it in this way and put the liner in there, and we'll see how it fits and come review once we've got that part installed. Okay, mounting this tank inside here was pretty simple and straightforward. You just make sure you run this liner along the perimeter. I push it in from this side. I had to, once you got it in, do some adjusting with the liner on the inside and the outside. Sometimes it wanted to go in or out as I was pushing it. Once it's in, do the same thing with this one. Put this liner in and work around the ends, the whole thing, to make sure it's all set and ready to go. And later we will do all the lining of the tubes and everything. But right now we've got the frame ready to go. We got the engine, servos, the tank is in, and we can finally start addressing the tail. Okay, next moving on to the tail. What we have here is in bag 600NT1. We're going to pull this little tail set up here. This is all pre-assembled. Looks like it's moving nice and tight. Probably pull this out and put a little CA on the exterior of these bearings to make sure that they're not moving inside the housing. If you've got anything botched up, if it's not moving smoothly, take it apart, check it out. But this one's pre-assembled, ready to go. Got the torque tube, gears and everything in there. Usually you're gonna, you know, one way or the other, you're gonna become familiar with this part, because when you have a broken torque tube, it's usually gonna be these two gears right here. So you're gonna pull this out, learn how to take this thing apart, replace these. It follows with the manual right here on this page. Make sure everything's set up the way it should be. So I'm going to open this up, put some CA inside there, and next bag to look at, 600 NT2. This has a lot of the rest of the tail hardware. Pull this guy out. I'll put these miscellaneous bags to the side for now with the blades and the fins. Right now we're going to look at this 600 NT2A, most of the tail assembly. Make sure we don't lose any of this hardware, put it to the side. Plastic one, okay. I'll probably end up getting a metal one to replace this. I just like to do that. So tails together, I'm going to take off all these screws around here, put some thread lock on them, make sure this thing's moving nice and smooth. We don't want anything falling apart. Put these to the side. We're going to use them a little later to clamp down onto the boom. So make sure you know where you put those. So we're going to come back after we get the CA and the thread lock on these guys. We'll come and review, and we'll be right back. Okay, I took this guy apart, and I ended up finding that from the factory they had a lot of thread lock on these guys already. Pulled them out, double checked them, got them in nice and tight. So after we do that, we're going to move on to opening the other bags that came here with the tail assembly. The 600N2C, which is going to have our bell crank on there. To set this up, we're going to make sure we put some CA on this ball link and put it on the bottom side right here. Just compared to your manual, make sure you put it on the right end. It also came with 2 washers. This goes washer through the bottom here. The writing is on the bottom part. Washer again. Make sure you get that on there. Okay, so make sure you go washer. There's bearings already preloaded on here. Bearings inside, washer. And then I'm going to get a little bit of thread lock on my finger and make sure I only get the thread right here. Do not get it in here because it's going to link up the balls and you're going to get issues. You want everything in your tail moving nice and smooth, or you're not going to be able to get a nice solid tail. So I'm going to get the ball links on this, thread lock on this, put that on the tail assembly, and then the pitch slider, I'll get that prepped. Open up this bag, the 600NT2I, pull that out. There's another ball link that goes on here. Put some CA to screw it in because you're screwing metal into plastic, and then we're going to set up the arms. There could be some okay, we've got the metal arms, so we don't have to worry about that. There's little metal sleeves that go through the holes here. There's a longer one that goes through the longer side of the arm. Shorter one goes into the shorter arm, and we put it on the end of the slider here, and we'll come and review once we've got that put together and the rest of this. Okay, just to review where we're at, we've got this crank on here, thread locked up here just on the threading. We got it moving nice and smooth all by itself. For the pitch slider, I unscrew this little black part. You unscrew that, pull it back. It's really greasy and oily, so clean that off with alcohol. Thread lock on the end of it, screw it back in, and then we put the ball link ball here on the end. Put CA on the threading before you thread it into the plastic. And then these little guys, there were some sleeves. I've got these longer ones that I'm holding for a little bit later that will go in here, but the smaller ones, the smaller length, will go inside these arms. And then you can see there's one diameter that's actually a little bit bigger than the other, the threaded side, so you put the screw in and make sure that you're running into the threaded side on the end, and that you've got these little arms moving nice and smooth. You want everything on the tail moving nice and smooth. So now we've got the slider ready, and we'll put that on here and move on to the next piece. Okay, next bag you want to open up is the 600NT2K, which will have the tail grips. I checked it, pulled the whole thing apart, made sure the thrust bearings were in there as per the manual, and that these were thread locked on there. From the factory, mine came great. It had the grease in the thrust bearings, it had thread lock in there. Just make sure you take it apart and you check it, and that you've got, you know, your bearings and everything the way it should be. Chances are from the factory it's good to go. And it's going to be leading edge, so we want to set it up so that, let's see, this is going to rotate counterclockwise, and we want the edge here to be leading, so it's going to be coming this way. Alright, so we'll notice that there's a little dimple here on the tail shaft. We're going to make sure we get the slider in here. Slider in this way. Arms come out, and then we're going to put this on here, and we're going to make sure that we line up the hole here with the dimple, and we use the little set screw, the grub screw that came with it, and we're going to set that in place and then line this up here with the arms, put the little sleeves in there, put those through, and use the supplied screws to hold those in place, and a little thread lock on the end of those so that nothing slips out. So we'll come and double check that once we've got this whole thing set up, and we're going to make sure that we get this ball into this hole where the crank is. Okay, now that we've finished up putting the tail together, we're just going to check over it one last time. Make sure by the time you're done, this thing is just moving so smooth. Just a little bit of effort required to move that thing. That's how we want it, nice and smooth. If something's bunching up, you're going to have tail wag issues, and it's not going to be fun. So tail pitch slider, crank hub here. When you put the slider on, you may have to back this out so you can get this over the ball link. Make sure leading edge, when it turns counterclockwise, the ends are going to be leading right here. So where these control arms are, they're going to be heading in front of the grip. Little thread lock to put those in there. If you've got plastic grips, use CA, and that way we've got our whole tail assembly ready to go. And now we'll just get the torque tube ready and put the tail boom together with the front torque tube gears and finish up the whole entire tail. Remember, nice and smooth.